Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you're listening to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to act to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we strive to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing for life. We got a great show for you today, and we've got a great person to introduce you to, a good friend of mine, Mr. Ray Hendricks. Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, anytime, Josh.
So, Ray, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what it is that you do? What do you do, Ray?
What don't I do in real estate?
Chief cook and bottle washer, right?
Trying to tell you. So I'm the owner of HD Real Estate Company. I also have a title company, which is HD Title and Escrow Services. And I also do mortgages as well. So each part of the real estate transaction has intrigued me in some way to want to obtain some license or some way to do it.
So you want to be a master of all aspects of the transaction.
Right. I think that it makes you better when you get those different licenses, if you want to. I mean, some people, it's just not a passion of theirs, but I think that when you start immersing yourself in different parts of the transaction, when you're handling clients, you can kind of school them through those different parts and kind of make it a little easier for them to palate some of the things that go on, you know, like some of the title things that could pop up, some things with mortgage that pop up that they didn't know was coming, or whatever the case may be. And you have your regular real estate stuff that you know. And I think that it makes you very valuable to a client when you can kind of coach them through, and helps you stay on top of those people in those industries because you know what to look out for and where the hangups could be.
Sure. And my father used to tell me all the time, you need to know what comes before and what comes after what you do. It's going to make you much better at what you do. And
absolutely.
In the real estate transaction, there's a whole class that I've written called Dealing with the Deal Killers. And it's strictly all about how to deal with all the other folks in the real estate transaction, not named me, that can screw up my deal. Because it's a transaction. Well, I can screw up my deal in a lot of different ways. And I teach agents all the time how not to screw up their deals and all the different ways there are to screw up your deals. There's a lot of other players in those deals, and every one of them can screw up the deal. And if it gets screwed up, guess what? You don't get paid either. And so knowing and doing and focusing on what you do, Ray, is a very good thing. Knowing all the different pieces of the transaction and knowing how to help yourself out when things go sideways. So great stuff. Let me ask you this. What got you started doing all this?
Well, I'll tell you this. I was very interested in the construction of homes, like how homes were built. Like, what do they do first? What do they do last? And when I got into that industry, the thing that made me more happy than anything else was when we turned over that new house to that client. And you know, that agent walks in with their client or whatever, shakes your hand. Oh, thank you for doing a good job building this house. And they look around and then they blue tape and green tape you to death on the things that you need to fix, right?
Yep.
And then you're looking at this whole thing and you're like, you know, the build process is very stressful. But the thing that I really like is the fact that, you know, these people are getting ready to move into that home and they're happy that they have their first home. So I got to talking with a real estate agent who is still a real estate agent now, and she was actually my mentor in real estate, Fannie Horn. And I got to talking with her. So what do you need to do? And how does that work? And whatever. She told me, she's like, this is what you do. You go to the class, you take the class, you pass the class test, then you go to the state test, you pass that. And then you're a realtor. And I watched a lot of HGTV at that time. So I was like, I'm going to make millions. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to spend, $2.99 and I'm going to make
millions. And nobody else has ever thought of this before me, right?
No, not the other 16,000 realtors just in our area. They didn't think of it either. We knew we were just going to make the millions. And then you go through it and you find out, oh, wait a minute. So I have to build my network. Oh, okay. And then I have to basically build my own clientele. Oh, and even when you have clientele, they're not going to say yes at first. You actually have to nurture them. Oh, okay. So you start going down the line.
And they may not be ready to buy now. It might be 3 years until they're ready to buy. And there's all this missionary work that goes in. Yeah, no, the HGTV really does a great job of editing out that part.
Right. Because all you see is every day. They're just out there and they're firing off deals left and right.
Every cylinder. Yeah.
I haven't seen them make a single phone call, but to meet up with the
once.
person.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
They haven't dealt with one objection yet.
No, not one. And their objections are like, well, I don't think we should sell it for that. Yeah. Oh, well, look, I looked at the market and we should do it. Okay, you're the expert. Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's exactly how it happens. That's exactly how it happens. They just tell us, you're the expert. I'll go with what you say.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it went down, 100%. I hear you, man. It's absolutely true. So let me ask you, bud, where did all the success, I know this thing has been coming together for you for a while. Where did all the success come from for you?
It was, the success is being able to teach people how to do what you know how to do. And because when I first got into real estate, it really wasn't to be an agent. Once I figured out that, okay, you do this for 2 years and you can get your broker license. And I started working with people and helping to mold people into good real estate agents. I was like, you know what? I really want to be a broker. I think I have a knack at this team lead / broker thing. So I went and got my broker license. And that's what I was focused on. I was like, I'm going to create a company. And in that company, I'm going to treat agents like they should be treated. I'm not going to treat them like just, hey, pay me your monthly fee and that's it. I'm going to be there to help you, but I also wanted to build a back office for them to be able to, so agents are able to help newer agents. So then it's more of a community feel. Because right now, man, it feels like think about it. You and I work for different companies, but we still help each other. I could call you at any time and say, hey, Josh, what do you think about this? I've never seen this before. And we'll figure it out. But I don't think a lot of the newer agents feel that way. A lot of them feel like either they have to have it up front so they don't ask questions and they make a bunch of mistakes, or they feel like no one's going to help them. You know what I mean? So they pretty much roll out of this industry. So that's where I was.
It's interesting because it's kind of like what people say and think about people from New York, I find.
Right.
Like people think that when you go to New York, like people from New York are really mean and really rude and all this kind of stuff. But one of the interesting things is if you go to somebody in New York and you say, hey, look, I'm lost. Could you tell me what train they will take and show you point that they'll be super helpful. But people have this preconceived notion that, you can't ask, you got to know it all. And you're right. I mean, the idea that it's the Lord of the Flies out there, which in some ways it kind of is, everybody is out to get their own, but these are all the agents that are the worst part of the industry, and they make up a part of the industry. Right. But we let that define who the industry is and how it is. And that's not really realistic of really what the experience of being in the business is on a daily basis.
Right.
And so, nurturing and fostering that culture of, hey, look, you don't know something. That's okay. We got people here that do know. We can figure it out. We can get through this. And, that we help each other is a good thing. That pay it forward mindset is a healthier mindset, I think, for people in general, as opposed to kind of hanging on with white knuckles to all that they know and all the experience that they have. It's not good for building a great industry. And right now we're suffering with the consequences of that, as our industry doesn't look like a good industry. It's not well thought of. So
I think a lot of training should really be mandatory, in that you have to have certain trainings, because I know that we do kind of have that, but it's not like what we really need, like what you and I talk about, and with what you do with my agents or whatever. I think that those classes should be mandatory. Like you have to take these classes and go in and understand this industry. Because I know agents that have been in the industry 2 and 3 years and they can't fill out a proper contract and they're still writing things in additional comments. You know what I mean? In areas where, like, I tell my agents this: write me what you think you want to say. I'll send it to legal. Legal will give you exactly what to say, and then you copy and paste that and put it in there.
Absolutely, and especially
right, because it's already been vetted by an attorney. But they'll say, "Oh yeah, buyer and seller agree to this," and da 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 da. And it's like you really, and even with me, right? Like I have a lot of experience in kind of the legalese, and I've seen it. Even with me, I'll write down what I want to say, send it to my lawyer, and I'll be like, "What do you think?" And he'll be like, "Okay, we'll change this word or say this too, because then it'll cover you in the end." And then he sends me exactly what I need, and I copy, paste it, put it in the contract.
Control C, Control V, baby. Copy and paste. That's their job is to take and create legal language. Our job is to take and help buyers and sellers solve their real estate problems.
Agents don't really know that they can't write in additional terms. That's an area that we can't really write in.
I mean, you can, but you're not like you're really you got a gun to your forehead when you do it. It's dangerous.
Because it's like how do they put it? Like the house isn't going to burn down, but if something goes wrong and they look at those additional terms, you could be on the hook because of what you wrote. So I dissuade my agents from writing anything in that.
I do the same thing. When I speak to the attorney, he says it's not a problem till it's a problem, and then it's a problem.
Oh, always.
And so let me ask you this, Ray. What do you like best about what you're doing, man?
Just helping people and watching them grow. Like I have some agents that have been in the business not too long. Like one of my agents, Devardis Bowman, I mean, that guy's been in the industry. It'll be 2 years in November, right? He literally got into the business because I was in the business and he wanted to do something different. And at first, I'm telling you, that first like year and a half, it was hard for him because it was like, you know, we're getting this deal, then that deal falls through, and then we're getting it. But when I tell you he remained consistent, and that man has done more, he's done more deals in his first year, in this year, well, last year, than a lot of agents have done in like 2 and 3 years. He's done a lot. You know, so I look at and he's brand new. You know, Mark Gordon. I mean, that's another one. I mean, he came in saying, "Hey, I'm just going to sell probably a house a year. You know, I really just want to hang my license somewhere, not really." And the bug bit him, and the next thing I know, he's popping off this and popping off that, and not your $100,000 houses, like your $600,000 and $700,000 houses. You know, so I mean, all of my agents. I mean, Willie. I mean, we just had 3 closings with him last week. So it's like, but Willie Washington's been in real estate for like 7 years. So that's a little bit different.
That's awesome.
But that's just a few. You know, I just like seeing somebody come in and say, "Hey, I don't know if this is for me," but then just with a little bit of guidance, they're like cracking it off. You know,
finding out that it is for them and that's what they're good at. It's always, there's something beautiful about seeing somebody find their purpose and find what they're excellent at, and actually maybe for the first time in their life really pursuing excellence full bore with no holds barred. And there's just something beautiful about that. So let me ask you this, Ray.
Yeah.
What do you think makes you good at what you do, man?
The ability to know that I don't know everything. I think that's the thing that makes you good at anything. Because if I say I'm great at this is what then I can't take advice. And if you can't take advice, then you can't really learn or grow anymore. So then you're stuck where you're at. So I think the ability to know that I don't know everything and everything is new. Some of my agents have gone through things that I've never went through personally, you know, in real estate, and they're brand new and I have to coach them through that. So now I know, okay, you know, if this happens, you need this form to combat that, or, you know, and I encourage my agents to make mistakes. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, you can't be scared of making mistakes, because guess what? You're going to make them. But
Absolutely.
Some of these mistakes, you're going to make them, and then you will never make them again, because
once you make them, you learn that lesson.
Yeah. Like, I remember one time, an agent who was coaching me told me, I was working for this company, I'm not going to mention it, but then what they told me was, it's per transaction, right? So I'm thinking it's the entire transaction, like the fee, the transaction fee was per transaction. So I had both sides of the deal on this transaction, and I'm like, oh, so it's one transaction fee, and I said that. I said, so it's one transaction fee for the entire transaction? Yes. Okay. And at that time, it was a hefty transaction fee, So I'm like, oh, well, great. I'm figuring out my commissions. Then we get to it, and they're like, no, it's per side. So the transaction is for the seller side and the buyer side. So it's per side, not per deal, if you will. And I'm like, but I asked that question, and I was told, yes, it's, and, it really kind of hurt me, because it cost me, like, imagine paying double than you thought you were going to pay.
Yeah.
So, it kind of forced me to really look at, how do I want to run my business? And it was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that agents really understand what the fees are.
Yep.
And being a boss in this, right, I get to make my own rules. So if if somebody has a smaller transaction, and I'm like, you know what, I'm only going to charge you one. I understand you have both sides of the deal, but we'll split the baby. Let's say it's a transaction fee. They're on an 80-20 split, and it's $250. Instead of them paying me $500, all right, do me a favor. Give me $300. Give me $300, and we'll work it out that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For both sides. So I like being a boss because of that.
Gives you that flexibility. So what do you think, what is it about what that creates that edge for you? What creates the edge in your business?
I mean, the edge is knowledge and just the people that you know. Like, my edge right now is like you and a bunch of other people that I know that at any moment I can call and say, hey, I'm having this issue, because a lot of people don't do that. So if I go to a listing appointment and I get stuck, or there's something that I want to know about the market, I can have a conversation with you and figure that out. Or I can have a conversation with my attorney, because he's in the real estate. I could have more ammunition that way. I mean, YouTube, just like, agents need to stop worrying about the trainings that are available and worry about training themselves in the way that they want to go. Because if you look at the YouTube videos of the people that you idolize or whatever, and you see what they do, or you look at just different trainings that go on, you know what I mean? Period. If you look on the training schedule and you look at what GTAR has to offer, or Pro, or, or the Orlando board, or whatever board you're a part of, it opens up so much for you to just be educated in your mind.
Got to go chase it. You got to go chase. You got to go figure out how to get it, what you need to take in. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, I know for me, when I was in my first 2 years in the business, and there were certifications and designations that I wanted to get, I jumped on planes and flew. I remember going to Austin. I remember driving to Jacksonville. I remember doing, not Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Tampa a couple times, just to take it, because that's what the classes were. And I wanted the information, and I wanted to get it done, because my business, I was not afraid to invest in my business and invest in me as the chief piece of business equipment in my business.
Right.
I need to get me right. When I teach my Close for Life method to the agents that I coach and all, it starts with getting you right, being the CEO you need to be for your business. That's where it all starts from. You can't do anything unless you start there.
No. So, and also people don't understand this. Like, there's a lot of things that you can say that people will take as a joke. But if I say it, it sounds like, oh my God, he's being too serious. You know what I'm saying? There's certain ways that you can talk. that they'll be like, oh, Josh is great. And then Ray says, oh, he's a jerk. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So I always tell people,
talking to girls taught me that, Ray. I learned that a long time ago, man. There's things that other people say to girls and they get away with. If I try to forget it, I'd have a restraining order and
right.
I can't pull that line off.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing about it is agents need to be able to take from different people, because there are things that I've taken from you and I've taken from different people that we know in the industry, kind of the big dogs, if you will, and mold them to my personality. Like I'm more laid back, like you and I'm more laid back than you are. You're more, somebody will say you're more aggressive than me, but if they knew me, like they know how me and you talk, if they've seen us, how we talk, we're both as aggressive. I just appear a little bit less aggressive than you, because the way I do it is a little bit more finesse, and you can go straight forward because that's your personality. Like my personality, if I went straight forward, not only would I be aggressive, but I'd be intimidating. So it's not like he's not only aggressive, but he's intimidating. And you can't do business that way. You can be aggressive in business, but you can't be aggressive and intimidating in business and expect for people to,
and especially not when you're trying to take it and bring the customer along. Absolutely not. It's working within where your gifts lie and how you're kind of wired, and what comes off as being truly organic for you. What is the way that you're functioning in your best way. And I agree. I mean, so much of when I teach negotiation, it's very much persuasion. And so sometimes that persuasion is taking a very passive approach to things and just killing them with kindness. And sometimes it's taking a very aggressive approach. And, the proper allocation of the right resources is really what learning to be good at negotiation is. Figuring out when you need which tools to deploy at the right time is how good negotiation is done. And it's seldom taught that way, which is always confusing to me, because that's really what good negotiation is: convincing the other side that their position is not as good as your position, and they should come hang out at your position because your position is the better spot to be.
Right. And there's other ways with that too, like negotiation. I remember a teacher telling me this in a negotiation class, like, you both want the fruit, right? So you both want this banana. Both of you guys want the banana, but you only want to pay 50 cents. And they only want to pay 30 cents. How do you get to the point? Well, you want to sell it for 60 cents and they only want to buy it for 40 cents, right?
Right.
But you're trying to get 50 cents out of it. All right, they want to pay 40. You want to get 60. What's the problem with coming up to 50 cents and figuring that out? You know what I mean? And everybody walking away from the table feeling like, okay, I paid more than I want to, but it wasn't that bad.
It was a really good banana.
I didn't get what I wanted. Right. And I really didn't get all that I wanted to, but it was good enough. I can deal with that. And I think both people walking away from the table, taking it on the chin a little bit, but being happy about it is great negotiation, if you can walk away that way.
Absolutely. Well, in general, if you can figure out how to expand the pie, if you can figure out how to find those things that the two sides value unequally, so that the seller doesn't want this so much, but the seller really wants this other thing, and the buyer doesn't really want that other thing that the seller really wants, but they do want that thing that the seller doesn't really want. You find those places. That's how you create the true win-wins. That's hard to do. That requires a lot of work on the agent's part, and the agent has to be very wary and very careful to try to find those inequities. And it's not something that agents typically do. Agents are usually so laser focused on trying to just simply get a deal done that they miss out on how to get a deal done well, a deal that has the best results, and that those best results being a customer that would never go anywhere else ever again other than to work with your customer.
And will bring you, like, you and I talk about this all the time. If you have a client that you worked with and they walk away from you and they're not referring business to you, you did something wrong. And you got to really look at that, because everybody knows somebody. So all my business, we're at the level now where all of our business is all referral business. It's like, it just comes out of nowhere. We're sitting eating lunch. Oh, hey, my friend Tim wants to get a house and blah, 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 blah. And now we're blessed enough to where because we have stuff to do, we can give those things to newer agents or what have you, to be like, hey, could you take this over and actually do it? But it's what we did, is how we treated people that made our referral business better. And then we treat their referrals good. The referrals give you referrals. And now the person that you worked with originally is like, yeah, you know, my man, Josh, you know what I mean? So
that's right.
So at the end of the day, they're happy because you made them look good in front of their people.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, you showed that respect of, I'm going to treat them just like I treated you, you know, and it just keeps going from there.
The true calling card that any agent leaves is not that business card. It's the taste in the mouth that they leave that customer with of what the experience with working with them was like. That's the real business card. That's the real calling card of the industry. And agents flat out forget that. They think, oh, let me get them a nice closing gift. That's going to take and make them, to hell with that. No, the experience they had with you, that's the closing gift. That's the real thing that's going to take it and drive that memory to not forget who you are, because you're somebody that they take as being very difficult to replace. You're a quality asset. They're glad to have added you to the stable of people that they know in their life. And your area of specialty is one that they know and respect you for. If you get that, you're set. Rock solid.
I mean, I tell you, like that woman, Fanny Horn, you know, her treating, she was actually my age, me and my wife's agent. We bought our house. So the way she treated us, you know, she ended up becoming a good friend, you know, to us and everything else. So we formed a friendship out of that, you know. So
it's great stuff.
So I've always took that little nugget of her personality with me, because I'm not as friendly as she is, but I took that little nugget that I'm going to treat you like family. I'm going to treat you like I would treat my friend. You know what I mean? And while we grow this business, you're going to feel respected, you know. And we've all had customers in our past that you know, were difficult to deal with. But then how did you even deal with that? Because it's easy to deal with the deal that just goes through. But how do you deal with the one that's difficult?
Yeah.
You know, that shows you who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows the commitment that you have to the standards that you built for your business. Absolutely. Your business has to have standards, and you're the one that sets those standards, and you're the one that enforces those standards. Absolutely. So if you want to have a great operation, you have to take and enforce those standards. So let me ask you a question. What are the most important things you've learned in the process of doing what you do?
I've learned that as a broker, no matter what, my number one job is to make sure that my agents feel protected and feel safe. And what I mean by that is, as long as they don't feel like they're going to get screwed by me, they don't feel like I'm going to take something out on them, you know, they'll be able to do the work. Like any mistake that they make, I want them to be comfortable telling me, hey, I made a mistake and here's what it is.
Yep.
Because if they feel safe, they feel protected, they know that, look, I got your back during this transaction. If we got to go to court, we got to go to court. I have lawyers. We'll go through, we'll do what we need to do. And we have business insurance, we have E&O, we have all of these different protections that you can't be scared to make a mistake, but definitely don't be scared to tell me so that I can protect you. And I also know that you can't let the fox watch the hen house. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
So as much as you want to be a broker and be away from the business and create a team and make sure that they handle it, you got to be on top of the day-to-day. Because one thing I wouldn't want is anybody, male, female, or otherwise, feeling uncomfortable in the situation in my company and not being able to tell me about it.
Yeah.
Or somebody. You know what I mean?
I get it.
So I think that that's the thing, is being that. Some brokers think it's being available 24/7. Is not. You got to have boundaries. You got to have, you know, like sometimes I'm in a meeting, like I'm with you. I got 2 agents blowing up my phone right now. I had to, you know, text one and say, call this person really fast, you know, because I have this to do. I know it's going to be longer than I can answer, and I can't keep texting. So call this person, because I already know what you need. You just wrote me a paragraph. And you know, and I took that paragraph, copied and pasted it, and sent it to the other agent, like, follow up with this person.
Beautiful. No, I mean, it's true. I mean, you have to take and you have to have, life still goes on. But at the same time, you have to take and make sure that the agents know that they have what they need as a resource and that you're looking out for them. So it makes sense.
Right.
What do you think makes you passionate about doing this though, Ray?
You know what? If I had to think about it, I have to go back to childhood, because when you've been picked on, right, by the bully, right? You've been picked on by the bully, and you're a person that stands up to the bully. And then you're also a person that when you see the bully pick on someone else, you want to stand up to the bully with that person.
Yep.
I feel like this industry, you know what I'm saying? In some ways we have our bullies. So when I'm seeing people pushed around by different brokerages or different people, and I see certain things, I'm like, nah, we got to stand up to that. And that's why I belong to so many boards and, so many organizations, because I'm a fighter. So, so that's the thing that makes me do what I do and makes me passionate about it is really helping people, but also standing up for the little guy. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Yeah.
So what do you think you're most proud of in your business?
I'm most proud of taking the leap. I think that it was so impactful because my wife was on me about it, because I really wanted a partner. Oh, I'm gonna get a partner. And then, then everything won't be on me. And between God, and no offense to people who don't believe in God, so respect that I do. I respect that you don't, if you don't.
Exactly.
And let's just live life that way. But, my higher power, looking over just what I was doing in the industry and helping individuals, I was like, you know what? I got to take the leap, because I'm already helping people, but I'm helping people for another company, making them money. So if I do it for my own company and I'm able to build, man, this could be something great. And then you create a culture around that. So I think if I never took the leap, there's so many people's lives that we've touched already in the year and a half that we've been in like actual business, that I think that we never would have had that opportunity. And I never would have known that, yes, I can do that without a huge budget and without a huge backing and all of that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So let me, same question, but instead of in business, what are you most proud of in your life?
Again, taking leaps.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
running theme.
Like in my personal life, right? People don't know this about me because you get kind of what you see at this point, because I've worked on it. But I was a shy person. I didn't really want to talk to people. Even in my personal life now, there aren't tons of people in my house. There aren't tons of people around me like that. I know tons of people, but I'm very, very private and very, very to myself. So when I look at, like the leaps that I've taken, like, all right, joining this board and going out here and meeting people and going to happy hours and pushing myself to do these things. Now it's a little bit more natural for me now, even though inside I really am like, I'd rather be home by myself watching TV, or home with my wife, or just home, you know what I mean? And chilling. But now I'm like, you know what, to do business and I just met a guy on the plane today. I seen a real estate book in his hand because he's about to take his test. So started talking to him about that. And on Monday, he said, hey, I haven't even chose a brokerage yet. And he's in Jacksonville, to which I have my business in Jacksonville, as you know. And he's like, hey, I'm signing up with you, because you're actually taking time to talk to me as a broker, and you're not. He said it was like Hollywood, like some of these brokers are just like, oh, I'm a broker. So, you're just an agent, when you get your license, talk to.
Come see me, yeah.
Right. It's like, no. I mean, this guy, I'm like, if you need any help, if you need to talk about test questions or anything else, call me.
Yeah.
Here's my number, call me. And I think that I never would have done that because my mind isn't on looking for people to talk to 24/7. But it needs to be, because guess what? My business is driven by people.
It is a true fact for the introverts of us out there, me included in that group. It's sometimes it's effort, but
people don't know that we're extroverted introverts. We're only extroverted when we have to be. That's it. Because people are like, oh yeah, Josh seems like he's never met a stranger. I'm like, you don't know Josh.
No way. No way. Josh is going to be in his hotel room tonight, chilling by himself and loving every minute of it.
Because you remember when we met, both of us were not talking to each other or anything. We had to get introduced. Like somebody was like, no, you need to know him and you need to know him. And that's how we got pushed together. And it was great ever since. But if that person never introduced us, we probably would have eventually come around to
that's very possible.
Saying something to each other. But I mean, it wouldn't have been them.
Again, nobody has the complete perfect skill set for everything. We have to grow. We have to learn. Right. There's agents. I mean, are there a lot of details in this business? Yeah, there's lots of agents that aren't very good detail people. And the ones that are just taken and live with that, they compromise and limit what they're capable of achieving. There's agents that are great detail people, but terrible people. I'd probably fall into that category a little bit more, right? I'm great with the details. And so it's learning to take and use the strengths you have as best as you possibly can, at the same time strengthening your weaknesses up as best you can, or shoring them up with people, putting people in positions to take and help you with areas that you're weak in, partnering with people, doing whatever you have to do. But as the CEO, as the person that's responsible for your business, you have to take responsibility for the fact that there's certain things that need to get done, and you have to figure out how to get them done.
Absolutely.
And that may mean growing into that, or it may mean finding somebody, whatever, but you got to do the work. So,
absolutely.
Ray, let me ask you this, my friend. What one piece, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice, what one piece of advice comes to your mind that you'd like to give the listeners out there today that you think is helpful?
Yeah. Never stop growing.
I love it. I love that.
That's it. Never stop growing. You constantly have to educate. You constantly have to make sure like, for instance, I take sabbaticals. My wife takes sabbaticals. So what we use that time for, it's a weekend. It's like literally from a Thursday to a Monday. We take time to go by ourselves, get ourselves right, because and this is every quarter. So 4 times a year we do this, so that you can just be by yourself. Like, being an empath, like I'm an empath, my wife is an empath, we take on people's energy, which is why my circle is very small. My house, if I showed you, like, my house is very calming, tranquil, because of that. I need good energy, and I need to be able to, I sage, I need to be able to get the energy of the day off me, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't take time to do that, I'd be a hard person to deal with. So you always got to know where your mental health is. You always have to know where your education level is, and always constantly keep going.
Yeah.
Keep pushing. Keep growing.
Absolutely. You got to keep growing. If you stop growing, you start dying. So you might as well take and do what you can with what you got, because
absolutely.
You only got one life to live, and getting the most out of this life is definitely in your best interest. And for that reason, pushing for that and striving for that as hard as you can it just makes so much sense. It's silly not to.
Absolutely.
So, Ray, I know you're a guy that's always got something else on another project, another thing going. What is next in Ray's world?
Well, building out this title company the way that it needs to, we actually got our first, because you were one of the first people I told that I was going to do it. So actually opening the doors last month, we had a lot of red tape to get through, because I'm not even going to say it. It's just a lot of red tape that you have to get through, especially being a person who's never owned a title company before, and having to get an underwriter and get them to say, okay, we'll take a chance on you. It's hard. But now we've been officially open because of my surgery and everything else. Thank God for my director of operations, Vicky Pagan. She's been instrumental in setting things up and making sure that we were here. But now that we're actually open, we have our first three deals going in that we got contracts on that we're about to provide the title work for. So
nice.
I'm telling you, if you have anything, make sure you send some stuff to us. I'm gonna ask.
Of course, yeah. As well you should.
Yeah, but that's what's next. It's just building this title company out the way that it needs to go so that it can officially start to run itself.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. No, there's always another project in the offing. I know that I'm always from one project to the next. I mean, my next big project is my new book that I'm writing.
Yep.
I just finished my last textbook that I needed to get done in order to have my calendar cleared. Did one on tokenizing commercial real estate investments. Yeah, no, that syndication model is looking very very interesting. But yeah, no, I'm working on actually writing another book going to be called Close for Life, and this one's going to be specifically about real estate. So that's
nice.
Going to be very much about codifying and putting down the method that I've been teaching all these years, and just really making it very specific for agents.
But I do like your sales courses because you make them broad enough to where you can apply them to real estate, but you can apply them to car sales. You can apply them, you know what I mean? You can apply those principles. So I'll just say this right now. If you haven't gotten into a Josh Cadillac sales class, you need to get in one, I'm telling you. Because I mean, you know how to break things down in a way that makes sense.
I appreciate that. I do try my best to do very much that very thing that you're talking about. That's trying to make it as simple as I can, as approachable as I can. Because I try my best always to remember what it was like when I didn't know this stuff, and how would I best learn it? How can I help people best to get it? But that's kind of the mission and kind of the pursuit of excellence that I shoot for in the stuff that I do. So I appreciate you saying that, Ray. Let me take a complete left turn on this one here for you. We've talked about business. We've talked about, tapping into a little bit of the wisdom you've picked up along the way. Mm-hmm. What do you do to unwind? What do you do to just unload?
Well, like for my sabbaticals, I like water. So I like to be on the water or somewhere where I can just relax, either by a pool, a fountain, something to where that peaceful tranquility of moving water is right there. So I've done things like going to go kayak really quick, just go out there. Being with my dog, dealing with him, man. He's his name is Bentley. He's a beagle. He makes me calm down, and he's two. Yeah. So he's like he'll know like something's wrong with me. Come sit his head on me, just pet me, and we just let your cares go away. So I do a lot of things to relax. So I mean, I get massages. You know what I mean? Like the Hard Rock has been the best for me. Getting a massage and then getting a facial. Great sipping stuff. Tea. Those things, because you need them. Like people don't understand how going to spas, you know what I mean? Even like for men, we don't really understand how big that is for us in our mental health, True. In our physical health, because especially if you work out a lot, you need to get those muscles worked on to break down that lactic acid and all of the things that build up in your body and getting those toxins out of your body. That's another thing. People don't understand how toxins in your body affects your mood too. If you find somebody that's really, really upset and really, really just curmudgeony, you'll find out that they have a lot of toxins in their body as well.
Sure.
It has an effect.
And I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's important to take and deliberately take that time to take care of your physical well-being, because I mean, when you're pushing this, I mean, look, there's a lot of lazy people out there. I'm not talking to those folks. I'm talking to the other folks that are pushing and pushing and pushing, and then pushing some more. You're going to ask a tremendous amount from your body and from yourself, and taking that step back to give your body permission to take and heal, giving your body the chance to take and rest and relax. And I know for me, one of my favorite things to do is I used to go to an old fashioned barber and use a straight razor. And I mean, take a whole hour to shave me and give me a haircut and a facial and the whole deal. And, you know, it cost $50-$60, but it was well worth it, you know, because I didn't have, this was on the schedule, and, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And all I have to do is just be here and relax. And there's nothing else calling my name or screaming at me that I'm supposed to do. My job is to just be here and do that. And, you know, it fully gave me permission to invest in just relaxing and just being. I agree, the dog situation, man. I take my dog Chubasaur, my English bulldog, to the office with me. And you know what, man? Since he started coming to the office with me, I definitely find it easier to work late every day, because around 4 or 5 o'clock, I'll go and I'll give myself a 5-minute break to go sit on the floor and just play with him. And he's always happy to come over there and grunt and snort his way over and just hang out with me. And, you know, like, hey, Dad, what's going on? And, you know, poke around. And I can get up and I can go for another couple hours, no problem after that. And I feel, you know, renewed and refreshed. And you know, I never was a big guy for like the emotional support animal or anything like that. But you know what? Like, I get it now a little bit.
It's true.
It's a thing, true. You know, the innocence of the love that a dog has for you and how they're, you know, just so loyal and friendly. And there's, I don't know. I find dogs to be a very noble creature in their own right. And I love that about them. And they definitely do make things better. And so I you know what? My dog falls under the unwind category too. So I couldn't agree with you more. Those are great things to do to find peace. Last thing I'm going to hit you with, Ray. Let's say folks want to take and find you. Where can folks find you?
You can find me on any social medias, Real Estate Ray Tampa. You could also just check out the website, hdrealestatecompany.com and hdtitleandescrow.com. And that's, you will find me on any one of those places.
Ray, that is awesome, buddy. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's a bit after hours that we're getting this banged out here, but I appreciate your time and just coming to hang out.
Hey, well, you know, anytime you ask me to be there, I'll be there.
I appreciate it, Ray. All right, my friend. Hopefully we'll get you back on here again. We can maybe do some other stuff for these folks and let them know what's going on in the market and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
Till next time, my friend.
All right. Till next time.